Hey there, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. Look, the VA world has just filled with nuance, right? It has all kinds of different twists and turns and paths and routes and all that stuff. What I wanted to talk to you about today was special monthly compensation in contrast to the 0 to 100% rating. So there's two separate rating schedules for disabilities. Now, the 0 to 100% rating schedule is the most common, and that's the one that most of us refer to. And most of us have an idea of 100% rating would be just fantastic, right? Well, there is a beyond the 100%, and that is the special monthly compensation side of the house. Now, it's not a rating schedule like the 0 to 100%. What it is it's labeled by letters, and each letter has a different designation on what qualifies you for that specific rating. I'm going to focus only on special monthly compensation L, because that tends to, and K. I'll throw K in. So special monthly compensation K is one kind of exception to the either or rule, where as a 0 to 100% rated on that schedule rated veteran, you could potentially get special monthly compensation K added to your monthly benefit. But I'm going to move that aside and just focus on, typically it's either or, right? So you're either going to be on the 0 to 100% or you're going to be on the special monthly compensation rating schedule. Now, with special monthly compensation, a lot of times what I see is you're going to hear people say, and usually it's other veterans telling a veteran who's going to a CMP, make sure you tell them how much it affects your life, how much your quality of life has diminished because of your condition. Well, on the 0 to 100% rating schedule, there's not really that verbiage in deciding where your rating is. Now, a doctor can read into what you're saying and maybe figure out, or ask additional questions. The 0 to 100% is based on your earning capacity, and it's based on specific symptoms that you're going to find in your schedule of ratings. So you could articulate where you should be based on the information that is in the schedule of ratings and be able to share that with the CMP examiner. And oftentimes there's not going to be any reference to how does it affect your life in that type of a way. Now, it's more specific. How many days of bed rest do you have? How many days are you laid up in bed and you can't leave per month? How many episodes of that condition do you have? Those types of things are what equate to your specific rating on the 0 to 100% rating schedule. Now, in addition, the 0 to 100% rating schedule is really the government, right? The VA's way of going, hey, look, your earning capacity has diminished, and we're going to supplement you for how much it's diminished because of your service-connected disabilities. And that's kind of the idea behind that specific rating schedule, the 0 to 100%. So when you think about that aspect of, okay, they're recouping me for my lost potential on the 0 to 100%. Sliding over to the special monthly compensation, that one is more about the quality of life, right? I used to be able to ride a motorcycle, now I can't. I used to be able to golf, now I can't. I used to be able to leave my house, now I can't, right? So this one is really focused more on your quality of life aspects versus your earning capacity, if that makes sense. So with special monthly compensation L, I'm going to kind of front load this real quick with the dollar figures for specific circumstances. They have the add-ons like anything, right? So if you're a veteran alone, it's this much. If you're a veteran with a spouse and 17 kids, then it's this much, right? And dependent parents and all that stuff. But I'm going to run through some of the numbers here just to let you know, and you can contrast that with the rating schedules on the 0 to 100%. So 100%, and off the top of my head, whatever, it's about 3,600 or so, 3,700 for a 100% rated veteran alone. Now, if you're a 100% rated veteran alone and you qualify for SMC L, Special Monthly Compensation L, your payment would go from that $3,700 a month to just over $4,500 a month. So it's a big jump, right? So, and the reason why I'm front loading some of these dollar figures is hopefully so you'll listen to the qualifiers on what it would take to get there. And in some cases, there are individuals out there that meet this today and they're not receiving it because most likely they don't even know that it exists. And two, they just self-segregate out like, oh, I wouldn't qualify for that. So I do want to read through those qualifiers. But first, again, I'm going to go through some of the dollar figures just to let you know how much this moves the needle for you on a monthly compensation basis. So for this VA, again, VA benefit for service or for special monthly compensation L is a veteran alone with no dependents is just over $4,500. Veteran with a spouse with no children is $4,708 and change. I'm just going to round. The veteran with a spouse and one parent as a dependent with no children is $4,870. Veteran with a spouse and two parents is $5,032. And with a veteran with one parent but no spouse or children is $4,668. A veteran with two parents and no spouse is $4,830. And then if you have a spouse that's receiving aid and attendance, it's an additional $185. So that gives you just a snapshot of some of the dollar figures that can be associated with special monthly compensation L. Now, when we dive into and I'll give you an example of how things can add up as well. Obviously, I'm not going through every dollar figure. I'm just kind of throwing out some of the situations that might be out there. So it says here how we assign special monthly compensation L through O, right? And so there's a bunch of different factors. And when I jump into L, it says you may receive an SMC, again, that's special monthly compensation, L designation if any of these situations are true of you. Now, any means one of these bullet points, right? It's not ands, it's ors. So I'm going to rattle through, I don't know how many there are, 5, 10 bullet points. So you may receive an SMC L designation if any of these situations are true of you. All right. It's going to also, I'm going to start with kind of the worst case scenario, and it's going to lighten up at the bottom. So stick with me, right? Because most people qualify for L on these lower levels. So you have had both feet amputated, or you have had one foot amputated and you lost the use of the other foot, or you have had one hand and one foot amputated, or you had one foot amputated and have lost the use of one hand, or you have had one hand amputated and you have lost the use of one foot, or you have lost the use of both feet, or you have lost the use of one hand and one foot, or now here's where we're going to get a little easier, and this is an easier path for a lot of people who are on the 100% schedule, 0 to 100% schedule, that would qualify here. So, or, and there's 3 bullet points, or you've lost sight in both eyes, blind, or you are permanently bedridden, or you need help with basic needs like eating, dressing, and bathing. Okay. Basic needs would also include medication, maybe grocery shopping, getting the food, knowing where things are, finding things in the house. Maybe there's some memory loss. Maybe there's the inability to move around. You can't wash your full body, so you need some assistance. You have some issues getting, fully dressed. You have problems, eating, remembering your medication. Those types of things could potentially qualify you for special monthly compensation L. This is a huge benefit that is often overlooked. Now, I'm going to give you a quick example of dollar figures here. The VA actually has one in here that I'll use. So it says here, let's look. All right. It says, if your spouse receives aid and attendance benefits or you have more than one child, you may qualify for additional monthly payment amounts as listed in the added amounts table. First, determine your basic rate, which I gave you some of the basic rates, right? Example, veteran with children. If you're a veteran with SMC L designation and you have 4 dependent children, 1 child over 18 in a qualifying school program and 3 children under 18 and a dependent spouse, you would start with the basic SMC rate of $4,856.67 for a veteran with 1 child and spouse, no parents. Next, you would then look at the added amounts tables to find the amount for children under the age of 18, $100.34. Since your basic rate already provides payment for 1 child, you would add the rate of $100.34 for each additional child under age 18. So that would be those additional $134 for the 2 that were under 18. Remember, there was 1 that was over 18 in a qualifying school. Then you would look for the rate for each additional child over 18 in a qualifying school program, and you actually get a bump there. That's an additional $324.12. If your spouse receives 8 in attendance, you would also add $185.21, which is the added amount for a spouse receiving 8 in attendance for a veteran with an SMC L designation. Add these amounts to your basic rate and get your total monthly amount. In our example of a veteran with SMC L designation, your total monthly payment amount would be $4,856.67 for the basic rate with 1 spouse, 1 child, $134 times 2 for the 2 other children under 18, $324.12 for the child over 18, and $185.21 for the spouse who is receiving 8 in attendance. And that brings the total monthly compensation to $5,566.68. Now remember that this would be in lieu of your 0 to 100% rating. You would now be classified as designated with the special monthly compensation L, and this would be your monthly compensation. Obviously, when the children drop off, they drop off, then your payment's closer to $5,000 a month. So a very great benefit that a lot of people aren't aware of. And look, if you don't need it today, you may need it in the future. None of us are getting any younger. And remember that some of the qualifiers or a bullet line here for qualifiers into SMC L is you need help with daily basic needs like eating, dressing, and bathing. All right, or if you become permanently bedridden is another bullet point there as an option for a qualifier. So good information. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate each and every one of you. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.